Hello, this video is going to take you through your GCSE coursework project, and hopefully it'll break down all the different components for you. So to start with, this is 60% of your final grade, so it's a controlled assignment, so it's a big project. It's broken down into 4 different assessment objectives, so your marks on 4 different things, as you can see here. So AO1, develop ideas for investigations, demonstrating critical understanding of sources. So those sources might be artists. Usually you would mainly have artists, but you could also have exhibitions, specific exhibitions. You could also have news articles that might link to your theme as well. So demonstrating critical understanding of sources and then developing your ideas. So not just doing an artist analysis, but showing how that has specifically helped you in your project. So helped you think of ideas or change your ideas and develop your ideas. So assessment objective 2, refine work by exploring ideas, selecting and experimenting with appropriate media, materials, techniques and processes. So that essentially means testing lots of different ideas, and as you test lots and lots of ideas, your work should refine itself. So it should get better, and you should understand what you don't like and what you do like, try new things, and it will refine as your work progresses. You should try lots of different styles, materials and techniques. So assessment objective 3, recording ideas. That's basically your annotations. So recording all of your ideas, all of your thoughts, your observations, your insights. But you can also do that through drawing. You might draw some of your ideas as well. So some loose sketches when you're getting out what you're thinking onto the page. Assessment objective 4 is your final piece. That will be the final piece at the end of the whole project, and that piece itself will be 25%. As you can see over here, annotation. So you can pause this video anytime and have a look at the questions. Hopefully they will help prompt you on what you should be writing about. It might be that you annotate your artist pages and you might say, oh, this artist specifically, I really like the way that the artist looks at social media, but I don't like necessarily the way that they use heavy brushstrokes. So I'm going to do that instead. So annotating, showing how you're looking at an artist, but also annotating your work. So annotating your experiments. So what have you tried? Why have you tried it? Did it go well? Have a look at all those questions to help you. Not all of the questions need to be answered for every piece of annotation, so it's just a guide. These websites, use them for inspiration. Pause the video and have a look at some of the websites. Hopefully they'll inspire your presentation of your work. You might see what other students have done and have new artist ideas, new ideas for how to develop your project, new material ideas, but loads and loads and loads of resources on those websites, so have a look at those. This page is a timeline. So this is a guide. So where you should be within your project at this stage or at the different stages within the year. So the year being from the start of year 10 ending in Christmas, at Christmas time, year 11. So it is different for everyone. So this is a guide because, for example, test pages 2, test pages 3, some people might do 10, 20 test pages. Some people might only do 2. However, you need to make sure that it's relevant. So if you're doing printmaking, you might need to do loads of test pages. If you're doing very, very small, refined drawings or paintings, you might do less test pages. Okay, but this is like a minimum checklist. So you should have a look at this checklist, and if you could tick all of these things at the end of the project, so the Christmas time year 11, then you've covered everything. So to start with, you need to have a look at creating a mind map. So a mind map, you start with your theme in the middle and then you branch out with all your different ideas. Don't just think that you need to write the ideas that you like and the ideas that you're going to do. You are showing all of your ideas. So that recording, which is 25%. So recording everything you can think of to show that you've really, really thought about your idea. Once you've done that, you need to create a mood board. Any pictures that you can find that are relevant. They can be artist work, photography, they can be just pictures from the internet, they can be pictures from books, magazines, newspapers, absolutely anything. And you should annotate these and say, why is that interesting? Why does it link to your theme? And you can also, as an extension, choose 5 of your favourite images and add a page discussing them in more detail and why you like them and how they link to your theme. So to start your project off, 3 artists. You should have chosen your 3 artists. And you create an analysis of those artists using the analysis guide. That will just show that you have critically engaged with the artist's content, the visual nature of the work, and showing that you have done a little bit of research over that artist. It's really important as well that you are explaining why have you chosen that artist? How does it link to your theme? What are you going to do inspired by that artist? Not just talking about their life and their exhibitions and their family. That's not relevant. It's all about how you are going to use this artist. So as well, to show that you visually understand the artist, you then have to do some responses. So here you can copy the work and recreate it. But also, so this is a painting, a recreation, you put a picture of the artist's work and then you recreate it. I think it's important that you don't spend too much time recreating a whole piece. You might just do a section because you are just showing that you have worked in the style of that artist. So you can as well do your responses from your own photographs in the style of that artist. You don't need to necessarily copy, but at this stage, at the start of your project, you might not know what you're doing, you might not have your own photographs. So at this stage, you might just create a small section of that artist's work. So statement of intent. Statement of intent then explains what are you going to do inspired by those artists. So it's personal. It should be saying, well, I liked the way that that artist used the background, and I like the way that this artist looked at global warming, and I like the way that this artist used really delicate layered brushstrokes. You're being really specific about what you are going to do inspired by the artist, and also how that is going to express your theme. So not just visually what have you taken from the artist, but also contextually, and how is that going to help you, or how are you going to express your theme using what you've learned from the artists. So my work in the world, I think this is a really good chance for you to show that you are not just looking at artists, but you're also thinking, well, what do you want your work to say? So this is almost like a mini mood board where you can find articles in newspapers or online, and you might just stick them in and annotate them and say, you know, this is, for example, global warming. These are the issues with global warming, and this is relevant to my project. So finding things on the internet, probably, that are linked to your work, articles that aren't necessarily art. And then just annotate it, explaining why it's relevant. You might, for example, look at a specific issue that's happening now, that's happening today. So any problem that might be happening in the media, for example, issues on mental health, whatever your theme is, you want to show that you're looking at articles, not just artists, but you're looking at what is happening in the world, and that you've researched that as well. Okay, so composition sketches. I do think that people struggle with what to do for these. This is just showing that you're trying to get out of your head what you're thinking of. So it's not about doing a really refined drawing at this stage. It's just about some loose sketches showing what you might do. Okay, so recording, which is 25% your ideas, showing that you're not just thinking, I'm going to do a picture of a face, done, that you're thinking, how am I going to do it? Should I do a close-up? Should I do it in the distance? Should I do it at an angle? Should I do it small? Should I do it big? And this is just sketching your ideas, lots and lots of different ideas. As always, you don't have to do those ideas, it's just recording. Your work should develop, so it shouldn't necessarily be, here's a picture of a person in a tree, and then at the end you do a picture of a person in a tree. This is recording all the different ideas that you might do. You then can take your first set of photographs. Usually you will take your own primary images, but there might be a reason why you need to use secondary images. So secondary images are pictures that you haven't taken yourself, so from the internet. That might just be because, for example, if you're looking at a specific historical time, you can't take your own pictures of that. You need to work from found older photographs on the internet. You might be doing you can't take a picture of your own mountains, so you might then need to use secondary photos. But generally, where possible, you want to take your own photographs, because then you're not just painting from someone else's photograph, from someone else's work, you're showing that you've taken your own photographs. So whatever it may be, try to work from your own photographs to help you. Okay, so then you draw from your photographs. So drawing is needed within your coursework project. So it is explained within the assessment objectives that drawing is something that you do need to do. So drawing from your secondary photographs or primary photographs is showing that you are engaging with the images. So just create some sketches, tonal sketches, loose sketches, sketches of ink, you might do coloured pencil, but just to start off with your project, draw from your photographs and arrange them on the page with your photographs. So recording from your photographs. So you can cut out your photograph like this, you put a photograph on one side and then you can draw the other part of it. You can draw the whole thing, you can draw just sections, lots of different ways, but you need to create drawings from your either primary or secondary photographs. So we're then moving on to the test pages. I do think that this is really hard because people don't know, you don't know what you're doing at this stage, or you might know what you're doing and you might want to pretend that you're testing because you actually know what you're going to do. Whatever you want to do that now. So what is in your head right now for your final piece? Don't wait until it's your the time to do your final piece. Do that now in the version of small tests, because you will learn from it. There will be things that you don't like, and that's a good thing, and that's why you need to test. So whatever you're thinking of to be doing for your final piece, do them in small sections, and then you might think, okay, well actually I didn't like this background, so now I'm going to try it with a plain background, or I want to do it more realistic, or I want to do it more loose, or I want to add this material. And that's essentially what your test pages are. You're testing small sections, you're testing materials here, and you're annotating your different tests. Okay, so you need to just get going with this and do your first test, and then it will develop from there. So the idea is that you have loads and loads of different tests. As I said, test pages 1, 2 and 3 as a guideline at this stage, 3 double pages of tests that include materials and that include sections of what you again might do. It's not necessarily what you will do for your final piece because it should be changing and developing by then. But testing, really, really, really important. So after you've tested, you do your first outcome. So this is still testing, but it's more of a refined piece because you will learn a lot from doing that. So it's not your final piece, it's an initial outcome where after all your tests, you're putting all your ideas onto one and doing more of a refined outcome. Usually this would be out of your book, this would be bigger, but if you're working small, then obviously you can still have that within your book. There's no rules on that. You then will reflect on your response. And again, there will be things that you don't like and there will be things that you want to improve, and that's a good thing because you want to show that you've developed and refined your idea. So for your reflection, answer these questions. And after that, you will then go back again and add another artist because you're then developing it, almost the second phase of your project. So at this stage, you might not need to do a full analysis. You might just add an artist and say, I really like the way that this artist has used coloured pencil, for example, and you analyse that. You've already done your in-depth analysis, so you might just be adding artists for very specific reasons, the way they've used the background or the fact that they look at the meaning that you're looking at, the fact that they have a theme similar to yours. It might not even be visually. You might like them or be interested in them because of the meaning behind their work. You might be interested in them because of the way that they use collage or the way that they use heavy brush strokes. They might be very, very specific, and that's a good thing. So you can add some different artists at this stage. There's no restrictions. If you want to add 3 more, you can add 3 more. If you only want to add 1, that's also fine because you already should have your 3 at the start of the project. So after your artist, you then need to explain in your second statement of intent, what are you now going to do? So you're reflecting on everything you've done and saying, well, this new artist or artists, I'm now going to change my work by having the middle section smaller and having some more materials, collage on the background. I might include textiles, I might use text and words instead, I might have a go at spray paint, I might, whatever that is, you're now saying in the second statement of intent, oh, after this artist, I am now going to develop my work by, and use the resource to help you with that. You then, same thing, need to do some more composition sketches. So just sketching out your new ideas. So it should still be similar to what you've been doing. You shouldn't have done, for example, animals and now you're moving on to trees. It is the same project. You're just developing it. So there should be similarities between these composition sketches and your last ones, but it should have changed and developed. Don't worry about all these composition sketches being your final ideas. Again, it's just recording your different ideas. So at this stage, you will take some new photographs and then drawings from your photographs, and you're repeating that process. Again, test pages. As you can see, this person has done watercolour tests, experimenting with different styles. You know, is it more refined or is it going to be more blurred? You can then try different materials again and annotate all your different tests. Again, there's no restrictions. You might do 20, 30 pages on tests. If, for example, you're doing some quite quick tests where you just use spray paint, for example, and that could be quite a quick thing. You might do less test pages if the work takes more time. But as a guide, 3 more double page test pages. So 3 double pages, 6 pages altogether, where you've got more tests for your new idea. So then you're moving on to your second outcome. Again, not a final piece, it counts as a test, but more refined. So create a piece, again, might be out of your book, but if it's smaller, there's no reason why it can't be in your book. More refined and complete, whereas your tests don't necessarily need to be finalised and resolved. You might just do sections, as I've said. So for this outcome, it should link to your statement of intent, your previous statement of intent. And again, you will reflect on it and say, what have you created? Why did you do it? How have you created? What was effective? And what have you learned? So at this stage, you should have different artists and you've really developed your project. It's a good idea at this stage to reflect on your whole project visually. So you go through your book and actually take pictures of your book. This will almost be a mini mind map of your book, showing which specific pages, it might be an artist page, it might be a response you did, it might be a test that you did, are now most relevant to you. Because there will be tests that you've crossed off, you're not interested in those anymore, they weren't successful. So it's almost like a mini mood board and a chance for you to reflect on your whole project. And you then can do a mind map of that as well and say, for example, my ideas so far, compositions, the composition where I used a really, really close-up image of the face was really relevant to me and I'm going to take that forward. Or the content and mood, so I really liked that I had the really quiet, still mood and I'm going to take that forward. So this page is almost like a summary of your project so far, visually and with a mind map. At this stage we would be in year 11, so final statement of intent. So outline specifically what you intend to do with your final piece, what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, talk about the colour, the style, the process, the materials, because at this stage you should know exactly what you want to do, because it should be the best of all of your tests that you've done in your whole project, and this should be the final stage to reflect on your whole journey so far. You then repeat the process that you have done before with your composition sketches. So this person, for example, they knew they were going to have a pineapple and they knew they were going to have bits of pineapple around, but they're not sure exactly how they're going to do it. So the composition shows different ideas of how you might compose your artwork or your painting or your drawing, whatever it is that you're doing. Final set of photographs. So again, usually you would use your own photographs to work from that you have taken, unless there is a good reason why you can't take your own photographs. But try to, where possible, include them. For example, if you are doing a project on space, you can't necessarily take your own photographs of space, but you might then take your own pictures of textures that might help you. So try to include your own photographs. You then are going to draw 3 final ideas. You can also then paint them or print them or whatever it is, do them smaller, but you're showing 3 final ideas, almost a little mini test of that. Okay, so as you can see, different tests, smaller versions. You might just do a section, you might do the whole thing but small, but testing 3 different ideas. Then you will move on to your final piece that hopefully reflects on your whole project so far. You'll then write assessment objective reflection explaining how you have met the assessment objectives. I hope you found this helpful. Please make sure that you ask for any resources that I've referred to, so statement, intent resource. They have been emailed to you, but if for some reason that you haven't got them, please make sure that you ask for those resources. Thank you.